I would like to know, or I'd like you to give one example of how, as a supervisor, you'll think outside the governmental box of thinking to do something that will benefit the citizens of Dixon, or the county for that matter. My example to you would be backing nuclear power plants to desalinize ocean water, to pump water inward to solve the issue of brine or brackish water is polluting the agricultural area inland, which is a basic solution. I would like to know what kind of thinking that you would use that would be just one example of how you would think outside the box to benefit the citizens of our county.
We need to bring government back down to the people, and by that I mean we need smaller supervisor districts so that people can have easier access to representatives. It's easier to run. Supervisor Vasquez was asked about this in the November debate about 4 years ago. He said he opposed adding 2 more supervisors. I'd be completely in favor of that. If we had 7 supervisors, they'd each be representing about 60,000 people each, as opposed to 84,000. And the problem with that is he represents more people than most state legislators on average. That's a major problem. That means most people have better representation at the state level in this country than we have at the county level. It does a few things. It makes it so that our views aren't as diverse here. It gets kind of boxed in. It also makes it so the races are incredibly expensive. Whereas in states like New Hampshire with very small districts, it takes about $790 to run for the state legislature. It takes $700,000 here. But just his race, he raised about $126,000 in his last race, and his opponent, I think, raised about $10,000. That's the type of problem you get. It makes it harder to go door to door and have real conversations with people, and everything gets relied on mailers, TV ads, really any medium other than direct contact with people. So I advocate reducing the size of supervisor districts to so we have 7 supervisors, and we could do that by reduce the cost of board of supervisors to the county by reducing their salary. They make about $96,000 in base salary, about $150,000 in total compensation. We could just reduce that to $59,000, which isn't an unreasonable salary because that's how much Yolo County supervisors make, and they're right next door. And they represent about half what we represent. Napa represents about 1/3 his district size. Even San Francisco has smaller supervisor districts than us because they have 11 supervisors and we have 5. So this would be a major reform, I think, for our county. And I think it would benefit a lot of constituents. I do think it is some out of the box thinking. It would require us to become a charter county, which I discussed earlier, but I think that's also beneficial as well because it can let us conflict with state law on some issues like Bo was concerned about. It would let us make our own path on a lot of issues.
Question about the Brown Act. The Brown Act, if you read it, does not require people to fill out a card to speak. But yet the Board of Supervisors insists that happen. It would be very easy just to ask how many people in the audience wish to speak, and then you could gauge the time based on that. You really don't need the people's names. So how would you as candidates or incumbents handle this in the future? Do you have any intention of changing the status quo? Thank you.
Yeah, I think people could just identify themselves if they want to when they go up there. You could just hand out numbers. You don't have to have them fill out any information. But transparency is a very important issue. Brown Act's very important. I also think that we should have meetings on the weekend. You know, I mean, people work during the day, and that's when the supervisors are doing all the important meetings that affect our county. I think we should have weekend and probably some weeknight as well meetings. I think we should be as accessible as possible to our constituents, and that shouldn't mean that we do all the work while they're at work.